listening to Royal Audio Tunes.
You always falling for that bitch, that bitch. You always falling for that bitch, that bitch, that bitch. You always falling for that bitch, that bitch. You always falling for that bitch, that bitch. Seduction is it. You should never pay it no mind, but you do. And you always investing time into her too. She had a plan and then succeeded and proceeded like this. She saw you was weak, nothing like me, so she knew that you would bite if you like what you seen. She was like a nice little fine little thing. Thought you had it in your thoughts just seen. So far wrong, cause she's so far gone. Raised by wolves and her sister get her calls. Played by lovers when she was growing up. Still young but grown enough. Got you speaking in tongues. You keep her real close but she keeps you in check. Think you have her in line, I know she held fast. And that's how I approach it. When she wanted you, gon' buy her Coach bag and her coaches. A nigga like me, that bitch, that bitch. You always falling for that bitch, that bitch, that bitch. You always falling for that bitch, that bitch. You always falling for that bitch, that bitch.
First off, I'ma tell you this shit a shame. You quick to wipe the bitch and give up the name. You didn't even know that she called you by your first name. When you first met, you was blinded by the breast. So yes, and that ass, yeah, it's for real, I admit. She heard about you and your chips and dip. She wanted all and would tell you don't give a shit. So when you stuntin' doing you, yeah, she reaching in. So as long as you a stuntin' ass nigga, when we talk about her, you ain't front ass nigga. And she can have whatever she like and take pictures. You treat her better than your daughter, what's wrong with you? One chillin' in the traffic doing me, chillin' poppin' P, drinking Hennessy. You don't remember one thing, remember me. Only keep it real with who keep it real with me. I see the big pictures, big screens, big G's.
You always falling for that bitch, that bitch. You always falling for that bitch, that bitch, that bitch. You always falling for that bitch, that bitch. You always falling for that bitch, that bitch.
Everything understood, no discussion. I'm in and out that pussy, I ain't gotta tell her nothing, then I'm back to hustling. Responding to no question like she the people. Every day is something new, cheese be the sequel. Lust for this lifestyle, still Mr. Right Now. Always falling for the loud type, bitch, pipe down. She the wild type, something foul about her. Products in them Lou B's, wonder how she got it. Bitch, you just a product of a nigga chasing pussy. He spent that all she fancy now, but all she want is cheese. You bitches will never get me. Spot her from a mile away. A dime a dozen any day. I fuck them and forget her. And see right through 'em. Money can never help, bitch. If you're living wrong, everything but the obvious. Don't get it wrong. Cut from the cloth, bitch. Never falling for 'em. I'm never falling for 'em.